In a forgotten corner of the Oregon coast, where the sky meets the sea in a wash of gray, stands a silent sentinel. A lighthouse, ancient and proud, perched atop a rocky cliff, its base constantly kissed by the restless waves. For years, it stood empty, a relic of a bygone era, until Caleb arrived. In his 60s, with silver hair and a quiet strength in his eyes, he looked up at the towering structure not as a job, but as a calling. He carried little more than a small backpack and a gentle determination to bring the light back to this lonely shore. The climb was a journey back in time. Up the narrow metal spiral staircase, each step echoed in the dim, hollow chamber. Caleb held the cold railing, his pace slow but steady, ascending into the heart of the tower. Reaching the top, he entered the lantern room. It was a space enclosed by circular glass, with a magnificent lamp at its center, its metal parts catching the soft daylight. This would be his world now, a glass bubble between the earth and the sky. As dusk settled, the true purpose of his arrival was at hand. The world outside dissolved into a deep, starless dark. With a flick of a switch, Caleb brought the giant beacon to life. A brilliant beam of light erupted, shattering the darkness and beginning its timeless dance. The powerful ray swept across the vast, empty ocean, a solitary guardian watching over a silent sea. There were no ships, no souls to guide, just the endless expanse of water. But Caleb knew his duty was to be ready. Below the hill, a small, quiet town nestled by the shore. Cozy wooden houses with warm lights, a single convenience store, a tiny outpost of life against the vastness of nature. Here, Caleb was a quiet curiosity. The friendly store owner, a woman in a worn apron, would often chat with him, her questions filled with a mix of concern and admiration. Caleb would just smile, his kindness a language everyone understood. He didn't need many words to explain his devotion. His days were filled with simple, repetitive rituals. He'd spend hours meticulously cleaning the giant lens, his hands gently wiping away every speck of salt and dust, until the glass shone with a flawless brilliance. He understood that the clarity of his light could mean the difference between life and death. In his quiet moments, he'd sit by the window with a steaming cup of tea, the vast ocean his only companion. The solitude didn't feel like loneliness. It felt like peace. Sometimes the wind would howl, and Caleb would stand on the narrow balcony, his coat flapping wildly around him as he stared out at the horizon. He was searching for something, perhaps a sign that his vigil mattered. But most nights were peaceful, the sea calm and empty. He'd sit near the window, a book open on his lap, but his eyes would be distant, lost in thought, while the lighthouse beam rotated softly behind him, a steady rhythmic pulse in the quiet night. He was the keeper of a light for a world that seemed to have forgotten it. Then the storm arrived. It didn't just roll in. It attacked. Dark, menacing clouds swallowed the sky, and a torrential downpour began. The sea, once calm, rose in a fury, with roaring waves slamming against the cliffs like angry giants. The lighthouse shuddered under the assault. This was the moment Caleb had been preparing for, the test of his resolve. He began the perilous climb up the now treacherous stairs. The metal was slick with water, and the wind, finding its way through unseen cracks, pushed against him, trying to throw him off balance. He gripped the railing, his knuckles white, his every step a battle against the elements. Inside the lantern room, the storm was a terrifying spectacle. Rain slashed against the glass, and the wind shrieked like a banshee. But the lighthouse beam held firm, a defiant spear of light cutting through the chaos, illuminating the violent churning sea. And then, he saw it. Through the sheets of rain, a faint, flickering light. A cargo ship, lost and battered, tilting dangerously in the monstrous waves. It was being pushed relentlessly toward the treacherous rocks. Caleb's hand pressed against the cold, rain-streaked window. His eyes widened with a mix of concern and adrenaline. The storm's fury was reflected on his face, but his focus was singular, the struggling vessel. He had to do more. He rushed to the controls, his hands turning a heavy wheel, activating an auxiliary lamp. The room flared with an almost blinding intensity. The beacon, now doubled in its power, became an unwavering sword of light. It sliced through the thick curtain of rain and storm, landing directly on the imperiled ship, a lifeline of pure energy. From the shore, it was a breathtaking sight. The amplified beam of the lighthouse, a beacon of hope against the wrath of nature. The ship, caught in this guiding light, slowly, painstakingly began to turn. It fought against the waves, inch by inch, moving away from the jagged rocks and toward the relative safety of the open sea. Caleb watched, his breath held, until the ship was a distant, moving light, safely on its way. He had done it. His solitary watch had saved them. The morning after was serene. The storm had passed, leaving behind a clear blue sky and a calm sea. A Coast Guard truck pulled up to the lighthouse entrance, and 3 officers stepped out, their faces filled with respect. They came not to inspect, but to thank. They handed him a letter, a formal commendation for his actions. As Caleb held it, his hands, weathered by work and wind, trembled slightly. A soft, emotional smile touched his lips, his eyes slightly misty. His quiet life had found its profound meaning. The news of his heroism spread through the small town. One afternoon, a group of children came to the lighthouse, their hands clutching colorful drawings of the tall white tower with a bright yellow light. They gathered around Caleb, their innocent faces beaming with admiration. He stood among them, a gentle giant, touched by their simple, heartfelt gratitude. He was no longer just the strange old man on the hill. He was their hero, the keeper of the light. That night, Caleb stood once more at the top of his lighthouse, in front of the glowing lantern. The wind was a gentle breeze now, a soft whisper against the silence of the vast ocean. He gazed out at the horizon, no longer searching, but watching. His vigil was not a lonely one. It was a promise. A promise to the sea, to the sky, and to any soul who might need a light in the dark. He was Caleb, the Lighthouse Keeper, and he was finally home.